The massive council chamber buzzed with hundreds of alien voices. Ambassador James Mitchell stood perfectly still as the room slowly fell silent. His simple gray diplomatic uniform stood out among the brilliant colors of the alien representatives. Ambassador Mitchell. Council Speaker Zondrex's voice echoed from above. The spider-like being clicked its mandibles with amusement. We have a special assignment for your species. Several council members released what sounded like chuckles. A purple blob-shaped being named Gloop wiggled with apparent glee in the corner. Others leaned forward in their hovering seats to get a better view. You will serve as diplomatic attaché to Princess Zaraka of the Therian Empire, Zondrex announced. The reaction was instant. Laughter rippled through the chamber. Tentacles slapped against metal walls. Wings fluttered with amusement. The heir that isn't an heir anymore, someone shouted from the back. Perfect match. A worthless human for a worthless princess. Called another voice. Tell us another joke. A three-headed creature cried out, its multiple faces grinning. James kept his face blank. He knew about Zaraka. The Therian king had publicly rejected her after she spoke against his war plans. She had suggested peace talks instead of conquering the nearby systems. Her own father called her weak and foolish. Council member Britak, a tall creature with blue scales, stood up slowly. Its lizard-like features twisted into what humans might call a smile. Oh, Ambassador Mitchell, how perfect this is. Humans are known for... What's the phrase? Cleaning up messes? Well, now you get to babysit our empire's biggest failure. More laughter followed. A primitive species watching over a failed royal, Britak continued. Two disappointments together. James remained quiet. Years of diplomatic training had taught him control, but inside anger bubbled. They always did this, made humans seem small and unimportant. The Therians will love this, Zondrex added with clear pleasure. Their proud warrior race getting help from the youngest council species, the ones who still fight with metal weapons while others move stars. A red hologram appeared above the chamber floor. It showed Princess Zaraka. Her body was made of living crystal, shifting between purple and blue colors. She stood alone in what looked like a bare room. Poor thing, whispered a flying insect being in the front row. Once she led armies for her father. Now she writes peace papers that no one reads. Perhaps humans are better suited for this task, suggested a council member with 6 eyes. Both species seem to prefer words over strength. Words won't protect borders, Britak said firmly, which is why the princess fell from grace, and why humans remain our junior members. The hologram changed to show the Therian capital. Massive crystal towers reached toward a purple sky. Ships moved between them like metal insects. When do I leave? James asked, his voice steady. Zondrex's spider legs clicked on his platform. Tomorrow. Pack light. I doubt you'll be there long. Either the princess will be completely forgotten, or the Therians will decide they don't want human help. 3. Betting pool is running strong, added Gloop, its blob form shaking with glee. Most say you'll fail within 2 months. I give him 1 week, Britak said with confidence. The Therians will see human presence as an insult. As the council session ended, representatives filed out through various doors and portals. Many passed close to James on purpose. Good luck, little ambassador, a floating brain creature said. Try not to embarrass your entire species, whispered another. Maybe if you're very quiet, they'll forget you're there, suggested a third. James waited until the room nearly emptied. Only a few digital assistants remained, cataloging the day's decisions. The massive crystal screen above darkened, the princess's image fading away. He walked toward the exit, his footsteps echoing in the vast chamber. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But something felt different about this assignment. The council members seemed too happy, too eager to see him fail. As if they knew something he didn't. At the door, James turned back to look at the empty council platform one more time. The princess's hologram had truly disappeared now. Just another species considered weak by the Council's standards. We'll see about that, he said softly to the empty room, then stepped through the door to prepare for tomorrow's journey. The Therian orbital station grew larger as James's shuttle approached. It looked like a massive crystal flower floating in space, with sharp, geometric petals catching starlight. His escort, a small Therian security ship, led the way through the docking procedure. First time at a Therian station? The pilot asked over the comm. Yes, James replied, watching the structure sparkle outside his window. The pilot laughed. Watch where you step. Their crystal floors can be sharp if you're not wearing proper boots. After landing, James was met by a Therian guard. The warrior stood 8 feet tall, his crystalline body shifting colors as he moved. Armor plates of polished metal covered his shoulders and chest. Ambassador Mitchell? The guard's voice rumbled, like grinding rocks. Princess Zaraka awaits. They walked through corridors lined with transparent walls. Other Therians passed by, their bodies flickering with different colors. Some showed deep red anger when they saw James. Others displayed purple curiosity. The guard stopped at ornate crystal doors. Enter. James stepped inside a large room. Books and data tablets filled shelves along the walls. A desk held stacks of papers covered in alien writing. Windows showed the vast stretch of space beyond the station. Princess Zaraka stood near the window. She was smaller than the guard but still taller than James. Her crystalline body shifted between blue and gray colors. Unlike other Therians, she wore no armor or bright royal clothes. Instead, she dressed in plain robes that covered most of her body. Ambassador Mitchell, she said, turning to face him. Her voice was clear but cold. Another babysitter sent by the council. Your Highness, James bowed slightly. I'm here to assist with diplomatic matters. She laughed, but without humor. The sound echoed off the crystal walls. Assist? You're here to watch me, to make sure the disgraced princess doesn't cause more trouble for her father. I'm here because the council assigned me, James said carefully. Zaraka moved closer. Her body shifted to a darker blue, which James guessed meant annoyance. Do you know why they sent you? A human? They think it's funny. A primitive species watching over a failed Therian royal? I understand your frustration, James began. No, you don't, she cut him off. You have no idea what it's like, to be born into power and lose it because you suggest peace instead of war. My people value strength above all else. I suggested diplomacy, and they called me weak. She turned, back to the window. And now they've given me a human keeper. Your species barely left its own planet when mine was exploring distant galaxies. James remained quiet. Arguing would only make things worse. Tell me, Zaraka continued, her colors shifting to orange now. What do you know about my peace proposals? I've read the basic summaries, James admitted. You suggested creating trade agreements with neighboring systems instead of conquest. And? She turned to face him again. They seemed reasonable, James said honestly. Zaraka's colors flickered rapidly, gold, yellow, then back to blue. Reasonable? That's it? Most of your council friends would call them naive. I read more than the summaries, James said. I studied the full proposals. Your plan about shared space stations for trade would benefit both sides without requiring military occupation. For the first time, Zaraka's form froze still. The usual color shifting stopped. Then, slowly, a faint golden glow appeared across her surface, the first sign of something other than resignation. You actually read them? The full documents? Yes. The data on economic benefits was particularly interesting. Most wars cost more than trade would earn. My father refuses to consider those numbers, she said, her voice softer now. He says warriors don't count profits. But leaders should, James suggested. Zaraka studied him for a long moment. Her crystalline surface rippled with gold streaks. Perhaps you're not entirely useless. She moved to her desk and picked up a data tablet. I'm working on a new proposal. Joint defense pacts instead of conquest. The council rejected it before I could finish. They often reject ideas before hearing them completely, James said. Ha! The sound was different this time. Actual amusement. The human speaks truth. Come, Ambassador. At least help me finish this document before they send you away in shame. James approached the desk. As he looked at the alien writing on the tablet, he realized something important. This assignment might truly matter. The princess's ideas weren't crazy or weak, they were innovative. Shall we start with the defense sharing protocols? He asked. Zaraka's form shifted again, showing streaks of a softer blue. First sensible thing I've heard all week. Yes, let's begin there. As they started working together, James noticed other Therians watching through the windows. Their bodies showed purple and orange emotions, surprise and curiosity. Perhaps the human ambassador wasn't quite what anyone expected. The formal dinner hall towered like a crystal cathedral. Hundreds of Therian nobles gathered around massive tables. Their crystalline bodies glowed in rainbow colors under the bright lights. James Mitchell sat between lower-ranking nobles while Princess Zaraka occupied a table with other royals near the front. "Remember, human," rumbled Lord Kextor beside James. "You may eat with us, but watch everything carefully. Therians show status through color. Any wrong response could cause offense." "What colors should I watch for?" James asked. "Deep red means anger. Yellow is warning. Orange shows distrust, and purple—" Kextor paused. "Purple shows deeper emotions. Fear, love, or respect. Few show purple in public." The dinner began with speeches. King Vexthor himself appeared on a holographic platform. His enormous crystalline form blazed with royal blue light. "Tonight we celebrate the anniversary of our third conquest," the king announced. "We remember when Therian strength conquered 3 systems in 1 month." Applause echoed through the hall. James noticed Zaraka's colors remained muted blue. She did not join the celebration. Suddenly, a warning alarm blared. The massive crystal sculptures decorating the hall began rising into the air. Anti-gravity fields usually kept them in place, but now they floated chaotically. "Malfunction," someone shouted. The sculptures, each weighing hundreds of pounds, drifted higher. One started spinning wildly. Another crashed into a table, scattering food everywhere. Therians moved slowly at first. Their traditional protocols demanded certain responses to emergencies. Guards needed to form proper protection ranks. Nobles had to leave by status rank. The formal procedures took precious time. James saw a crystal statue drifting directly over Zaraka's table. She looked up, her body turning bright yellow with alarm. Without thinking, James ran forward. He grabbed a serving tray from a nearby table and held it above his head. The statue was too heavy, but he angled the tray to redirect the falling object. Crash. The statue shattered against the tray, sending crystal shards in all directions. James felt cuts on his arms, but kept moving. Another statue spun toward a group of elderly nobles too slow to move. "Get down," he shouted, diving to cover them. The statue smashed nearby, missing them by inches. James felt more cuts from the flying shards, but ignored the pain. He looked around for more dangers. Another sculpture headed toward a young Therian child who stood frozen in fear. The parents couldn't reach her in time through the crowd. James sprinted across scattered crystal pieces and scooped up the child. He tucked her against his chest and turned his back toward the falling object. The impact sent him sprawling, but he kept the child safe. "Emergency contained," announced a metallic voice as the anti-gravity system reset. The remaining objects lowered safely to the ground. James carefully handed the child to her father. "She's okay," he said, ignoring the burning pain in his back. The hall fell silent. Every Therian stared at James. Blood dripped from cuts on his arms and face. His uniform was torn and covered in crystal dust. Princess Zaraka walked toward him. Her colors shifted rapidly, from yellow alarm to orange surprise to something James hadn't seen before, streaks of deep orange turning golden. "Ambassador Mitchell," she said quietly. You protected our people." "Anyone would have done the same," James replied, trying to catch his breath. "No," she said firmly. "Look around you." James glanced at the Therian guards who were still following their formal emergency procedures. Even now, they moved in precise formations, checking protocols. Your reflexes saved lives today, Zaraka continued. While we followed tradition, you followed instinct. Her body now showed clear orange respect mixed with golden appreciation. An older Therian stepped forward. I am Duke Ironcax. You saved my family. His normally red-tinted body flickered with purple emotion. I am in your debt, human. Others approached. The young child's father bowed deeply. Nobles who usually ignored his presence now acknowledged him with respectful color changes. James stumbled slightly. Blood loss made him dizzy, but he stayed upright, not wanting to show weakness among warriors. Zaraka grabbed a cloth from a nearby table. Let me clean those wounds, she said. As she worked, she spoke quietly. They orchestrated this attack. House Zimkar wanted to eliminate me during the chaos. How do you know? James asked. The anti-gravity systems have triple redundancy. They don't just malfunction. And look, she nodded toward a corner where several Therians had bright red anger on their surfaces. Their colors give them away. Lord Kextor joined them. The human speaks truth through actions, he declared loudly. Perhaps we should judge beings by their deeds, not their origins. Murmurs spread through the hall. For the first time since his assignment began, James heard Therians discussing him with respect instead of mockery. As medical attendants arrived, to treat his wounds, James saw guards carefully examining the broken anti-gravity equipment. Evidence of sabotage would soon be discovered. Your council friends won't be happy, Zaraka said as she finished cleaning a cut. You weren't supposed to do anything useful here. James smiled weakly. Then I guess I'm off to a bad start. For the first time since he'd met her, Princess Zaraka laughed with genuine amusement. Her crystalline form rippled with golden satisfaction. The incident changed everything. Word spread quickly through the station about the human ambassador who saved Therian lives while their own traditions delayed action. Perhaps humans weren't quite as primitive as everyone thought. The comm screen in Zaraka's office showed the communication logs clearly. James studied the encrypted files they had uncovered. 3 weeks of investigation had led to this moment. Look at this pattern, Zaraka said, pointing at the data. Weapons shipments to both sides of the Kelvin border. Dispute. Same origin, same technology, different destinations. James scrolled through the records. Council members placed these orders directly. Grixmel and Tazorn especially. They've profited from the conflict for years. Zaraka's crystalline body shifted to orange frustration. While two peaceful species fight, council members count their credits. We should present this to the council immediately, James suggested. 2 hours later, they stood before the central council platform. The chamber buzzed with impatient energy. Breetalk's blue scales shifted with annoyance as James set up his presentation. This better be important, Ambassador. Zondrex clicked through his translator. We don't have time for human conspiracy theories. James activated the holographic display. Banking records appeared in the air. These are fund transfers from arms dealers to council members Grixmel and Tazorn. You dare accuse us of corruption? Tazorn, a massive turtle-like being, slammed his heavy appendage on his platform. We have proof, Zaraka stated firmly. Both of you supplied weapons to the Kelvin border conflict. The same pulse rifles delivered to opposite sides with 48 hours. Preposterous. Grixmel's multiple eyes blinked rapidly. The princess invents stories to regain favor with her father. Look at the shipping manifests, James continued. More evidence floated above the chamber floor. Channel 47B approved. By you, Councilmember Tazorn. Channel 52C approved by Grixmel. Both routes ended at the conflict zone. The logs showed months of weapon transfers. The pattern was clear. Whenever one side gained advantage, new armaments arrived for the other side, keeping the war balanced. These are routine arms sales, Tazorn dismissed. All approved through proper channels. Proper channels you created, Zaraka challenged. Arms Control Protocol 4B, which you authored personally. The same protocol that allows selling to both sides of a conflict as long as defensive needs are cited. This is absurd. Britak stood from her position. Will we let primitive accusations disrupt our proceedings? 300,000 beings dead, James said quietly. That's the cost of this routine business. Council member Zondrex clicked his mandibles. Ambassador Mitchell, this assembly grows tired of your theories. The banking transfers don't prove anything, Grixmel added. Mere coincidence. Before James could respond, his communicator buzzed. A message from Earth's ambassador. Leave it alone, Mitchell. You're stirring dangerous waters. The Council has invested too much in current structures. What's that? Zondrex demanded. James looked at Zaraka. She nodded slightly. They had to push forward. Commissioner Lisa Torres from Earth Diplomatic Corps, James announced, warning me against investigating too deeply. The chamber erupted. Some council members showed support through color changes. Others displayed bright anger. Even your own species knows you're out of line, Britak hissed. Or perhaps they're part of this corruption too, Zaraka suggested. The accusation created chaos. Representatives shouted in various languages. Translators struggled to keep up. Zondrex restored order by banging his gavel. This session stands adjourned. Council members Grixmel and Tazorn will provide detailed financial records within one cycle. What's the point? James whispered to Zaraka as they left the platform. They'll just cover their tracks better. No, she replied, her colors showing determination. Now others are watching. Look. James noticed several smaller species delegates, clustering together. The Vorthak trader representative nodded at them. A dreamer mind node representative flickered with interest. We've started something, Zaraka continued. Those species have suffered from these endless conflicts too. Late. The private meeting room aboard the Vorthak trading vessel hummed with nervous energy. Representatives from 15 different species gathered around the circular table. Some used translators, while others spoke directly through MindLink. War comes to the Zelian cluster within days, the Vorthak delegate Kethtar announced. His forearms gestured wildly. The Council has armed both sides again. This time it will spread beyond control. My colony borders the cluster, said a Frontier, Prime Representative. Our defense systems can't handle a major conflict. James Mitchell studied the gathered beings. These weren't the powerful species that dominated Council leadership. These were traders, frontier settlers, and peaceful civilizations caught in endless conflicts. We need united action, James said clearly. History shows that small groups working together can resist larger powers. Human history? Scoffed a Krill representative, its tentacles waving dismissively. Your species barely controls one system. Human history includes many examples of alliances defeating stronger enemies, James continued. Earth's second world. War saw smaller nations unite against massive empires. Princess Zaraka's crystalline body shifted to supportive orange. The ambassador speaks wisdom. My own military training teaches that strategy beats numbers. But the Council will never allow. The Council doesn't need to allow it. Zaraka interrupted. We're not breaking laws. We're creating defensive partnerships entirely within our rights. The Dreamer collective mind node flickered with deep thought. When it spoke, multiple voices echoed as one. The Council profits from division. Unity threatens their power structure. What do you propose exactly? Asked the Frontier Prime Delegate. James projected a hologram above the table. It showed trade routes connecting all their territories. First, establish protected trading. Corridors. Your economies support your defenses. Without stable trade, you can't maintain security. The Vorthak already patrol major routes, Kethtar admitted, but we need more ships. Each species contributes what they can, Zaraka suggested. The Dreamers have advanced sensors. Frontier Primes control key transit points. Working together multiplies our strength. You're describing an unofficial military alliance, the Krill noted with concern. Defensive alliance, James corrected. Like Earth's NATO during the Cold War. No aggression, only mutual protection. "And what role does the discarded Therian princess play?" asked a small, lizard-like delegate. Zaraka stood, her full height, impressive even among aliens. "I bring tactical knowledge and royal connections. My father may reject my politics, but he still respects military intelligence." "Your father won't support this," someone challenged. "My father doesn't know about this yet," Zaraka replied. "That gives us time to establish success." The debate continued for hours. Arguments in multiple languages filled the air. But gradually, agreement took shape. "We call ourselves the Outer Worlds Alliance," James suggested, "focused on trade protection and mutual defense." "No centralized command structure," the frontier delegate insisted. "That's how corruption starts." "Agreed," Zaraka nodded. "Rotating leadership. Decisions require majority vote." The Dreamer Collective processed information at high speed. "This configuration has historical precedents. Success probability, moderately positive." One by one, delegates signaled agreement. The krill was last, its tentacles twitching nervously before finally joining. "When the council discovers this," Keithtar began. "They're already suspicious," James admitted. "But we're not violating any laws, just exercising rights to defensive alliances." 3 days later, as the first Outer Worlds vessels patrolled their new trade corridors, an urgent message arrived on Zaraka's secure channel. The holographic display showed King Vexthor himself. His massive crystalline form blazed with royal authority. "Daughter," he began formally. "News reaches me about Heiress activities." "Father, do not speak," he commanded. "You ally with frontier species. You trust humans. You form groups outside council control." Zaraka remained silent, her colors shifting cautiously. "I once believed conquest alone showed strength," the king continued. "But military reports describe your alliance deflecting border raids already. You've protected more systems in 1 week than council forces do in months." Surprise rippled through Zaraka's form. "Perhaps..." The king paused, seeming to choose words carefully. "Perhaps I was hasty in my judgment of your diplomatic approach." "You recognize our efforts?" Zaraka asked carefully. "I recognize results. The Therian Empire respects success." His colors shifted slightly. "Your human advisor seems more capable than our intelligence suggested." James stepped into view. "Your Majesty." "Ambassador Mitchell, you've taught my daughter to blend human adaptability with Therian strategy. This interests me." "We seek only stability, Your Majesty." "Stability benefits all empires," the king acknowledged. "Continue your work, but know this. If you fail, spectacularly, I deny all knowledge." The transmission ended. Zaraka turned to James. "Did my father just approve?" "He acknowledged our success," James clarified. "That's progress. More than progress. He never admits when he's wrong about anything." Outside the window, an Outer Worlds patrol fleet moved through space. Ships from different species flying together, protecting shared interests. "Think our council friends know yet?" James asked. "They will soon," Zaraka replied. "The trading. Reports will show increased profits in our protected zones, and decreased weapon sales in those areas." They shared a knowing look. The alliance had taken its first real steps. The council might mock humans and failed princesses, but results spoke louder than prejudice. "We should expand," Zaraka suggested. "More species will request membership now." "Carefully," James cautioned. "Too much success too quickly might force the council to act." Let them act. For the first time in cycles, smaller species have real protection. The Outer Worlds Alliance had officially begun. Born from mockery and rejection, it might just reshape galactic politics. The council trial chamber held more representatives than usual. News of the proceeding had spread throughout the galaxy. James Mitchell stood in the center platform, surrounded by accusatory stares from dozens of species. "Ambassador James Mitchell," Council Speaker Zondrex announced formally. You stand accused of destabilizing galactic peace through unauthorized diplomatic actions. The charges floated in holographic text, creating unofficial alliances, interfering with Council trade policies, spreading harmful conspiracy theories, encouraging rebellion among lesser species. How do you plead? Demanded Tazorn, the turtle-like council member. Not guilty, James stated clearly. Typical human arrogance, Bretac sneered. Evidence shows your Outer Worlds alliance operates outside proper channels. What evidence? James challenged. Grixmel's. Multiple eyes blinked rapidly as he activated a display. Banking records show redirected trade routes, profit losses for established systems, military movements without council approval. Military patrols within sovereign territories, James corrected. Each species protected their own borders using defensive rights guaranteed by Council Charter Article 17. The chamber buzzed with arguments. James noticed some smaller species representatives nodding agreement. You manipulated lesser beings with human lies, Tazorn accused. Tales of past wars and fictional alliances. I shared historical examples. Knowledge becomes inspiration. Human books are not galactic law. Before James could respond, the Dreamer Collective requested attention. Their mind node representative flickered intensely. The collective has analyzed all communications. Multiple voices spoke as one. We present evidence. A massive holographic display filled the chamber. Communication logs appeared. Conversations between council members discussing profit margins from ongoing conflicts. These are private transmissions, Grixmel protested. Accessed legally through connected networks, the Dreamer explained. Watch. The logs showed Tazorn and Grixmel planning continued weapon shipments to the Kelvin border conflict. More shocking, they discussed how to escalate tensions to increase demand. Forgery, Tazorn roared. Human tricks. The transmission signatures match council encryption. Another voice joined from above. All heads turned to the entrance. King Vexthor descended on a floating platform. His massive crystalline form blazed with royal authority. Behind him, Princess Zaraka followed with regal bearing. Father, Grixmel began. Silence, the Therian king commanded. I bring additional evidence. Royal guards presented sealed documents. Military intelligence records, King Vexthor explained. Therian observers monitored council weapons shipments for decades. We thought it normal trade. Now we see the pattern. The documents detailed coordinated arms dealing designed to maintain balance of power and profit. Neither side of conflicts ever gained decisive advantage. This is outrageous. Zondrex clicked angrily. The king has no jurisdiction here. I have the right to present evidence affecting Therian interests, King Vexthor stated firmly. My daughter's diplomatic experiments revealed truths we ignored too long. He looked down at James. The human showed courage investigating what we accepted as standard practice. Princess Zaraka stepped forward. The Outer Worlds Alliance saved more lives in 2 months than Council peacekeeping in 2 years. Results speak louder than accusations. You support this human's rebellion? Bretac demanded. I support ending cycles of. 6 months after the trial, James Mitchell stood in a transformed council chamber. The room buzzed with different energy now. Hope instead of fear, cooperation instead of competition. The first reformed council session had begun. Senior Ambassador Mitchell, spoke the new council speaker, a respected Dreamer mind node designated 3 of 7. Please present the Outer Worlds Alliance proposal for permanent sub-council status. James stepped forward confidently. Gone was his simple gray uniform, replaced by darker diplomatic attire bearing the Outer Worlds Alliance symbol, a circle of clasped hands from different species. Fellow representatives, he began. The Alliance requests formal recognition as an independent diplomatic entity within council structure. This would establish legal precedent, noted a delegate wearing neutral crystalline forms, allowing smaller species direct representation. Precisely what we need, Zaraka spoke from her new position as Diplomatic Innovation Director. Her royal blue robes now carried embroidered designs representing multiple cultures. Traditional. Hierarchies failed to serve all members equally. I object. Bretak's voice cut through, though weaker than before. Her position had dropped significantly after the scandal. This rewards rebellion against established order. It rewards cooperation over conflict, Zaraka countered smoothly. Results speak for themselves. Alliance territories show 40% decrease in border conflicts, 60% increase in cross-species trade, 0 weapon-related incidents in protected zones. Former council member Tizorn, now stripped of authority, watched silently from observer seating. His once powerful presence diminished to background noise. The reforms have proven effective, confirmed the Frontier Prime representative. My colony prospers with protected trade routes. James continued his presentation. The Alliance proposes rotating leadership selection, transparent financial reporting, and equal voting rights regardless of military strength. Revolutionary, murmured several delegates. Keth Tar, representing the Vorthak traders, added his support. Our shipping profits doubled under Alliance protection systems. Traditional council methods cost us 40% in protection fees. What about military concerns? Asked a Krill delegate cautiously. Without centralized command, we maintain coordinated defense, James explained. Each species protects sovereign territory while sharing intelligence. Collective security through individual strength. Human philosophy proving oddly effective. 3 of 7 observed neutrally. Princess Zaraka smiled. Philosophy combined with Therian strategic planning creates something new entirely. The presentation continued smoothly. Data visualizations showed economic improvements, conflict reductions, and increased cooperation. Former skeptics found their objections answered with solid evidence. During a brief recess, Bretak cornered James in the corridor. You've dismantled centuries of order. No, James replied calmly. We've revealed the order was already broken. My species lost influence, she complained. Your species gained genuine partnerships, he countered. No more profits from others' suffering. Her scales shifted through frustrated colors before she stalked away. Later, during formal voting, species after species approved the Alliance's proposal. Even those who initially resisted recognized the changing political climate. 97 votes in favor, 3 of 7 announced. 7 opposed, 4 abstentions. The Outer Worlds Alliance achieves official sub-council status. Cheers erupted. From gallery observers, James felt relief wash over him. The past months of careful negotiations, diplomatic meetings, and evidence presentations had succeeded. King Vexthor himself appeared on holographic display from the Therian capital. The Therian Empire formally recognizes this new era of cooperation, he declared. My daughter has proven that strength comes in many forms. After the session, Zaraka found James on the observation deck overlooking the council station. Stars filled the view, peaceful in their silence. We've changed how the galaxy works, she said softly. We've started changing it, James corrected. The hard part comes now, making it work daily. Your species has an expression about that, Zaraka mused. Eternal vigilance? Something like that. Her crystalline surface shifted to show their shared friendship color, lavender rippling across her form. When you first arrived, I thought humans were merely council jokes. And I thought you were just another angry royal. They laughed together. Below, ships from different species docked in harmony. Vorthak traders beside Dreamer vessels, frontier pioneers alongside Krill transporters. Think the council will try undermining us? James asked. Certainly, but now everyone watches them, too closely. Zaraka's colors showed confidence. Too many species benefit from change. A message arrived on James's communicator from Commissioner Torres on Earth. The woman who once warned him to avoid controversy now sent congratulations on his promotion. How time changes things, he showed Zaraka. Time changes nothing, she disagreed. Actions change everything. They returned inside as night shift began. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, treaty negotiations, border disputes, and the endless details of reforming galactic government. But tonight, they celebrated the first victory. The Outer Worlds Alliance stood as proof that cooperation trumped corruption. That smaller voices united could challenge centuries of tradition. James Mitchell had arrived as humanity's punishment assignment. He now shaped policy that would affect billions across multiple systems. And Princess Zaraka, once rejected for suggesting peace, now led diplomatic innovation that transformed how species interacted. Together, they had built something neither the Council nor their own people thought possible: a new way forward for the galaxy. 5 years passed since the trial that changed everything. The renamed Galactic Assembly Chamber displayed tributes to diplomatic breakthroughs rather than conquest celebrations. Ambassador James Mitchell walked through memory-filled corridors, heading to his final address to the Assembly. "Still can't believe it's been 5 years," he murmured to Princess Zaraka beside him. "Crown Princess now," she corrected with amusement. Her crystalline body shifted through happy colors as it did when they joked privately. "And you're not just ambassador anymore. Senior diplomatic director has a nice sound." They entered the chamber where hundreds of species gathered. Representatives who once mocked humanity now waited eagerly for his words. The holographic displays showed statistics that proved transformation. Galactic conflicts reduced by 78%, cross-species cooperation at historical highs, the Mitchell-Zaraka Accords, adopted by 312 species. "Ladies, gentlemen, and all honored beings," James began, his voice carrying through translators. 5 years ago, this assembly thought humanity belonged at galactic margins. Today, we stand together proving unity creates strength no single species can match. Applause echoed from crystalline beings, tentacled traders, and winged philosophers alike. In the gallery, former skeptics like Britak, now reformed and serving as Alliance Education Coordinator, clapped genuinely. "They called us primitive because we adapted rather than dominated," James continued. "They mocked diplomacy as weakness. Yet today, adaptation prevents conflicts while diplomacy builds prosperity." His eyes found Zaraka's in the crowd. Her surface rippled with proud colors, the same ones she'd shown when they first worked successfully together. "We proved that bridges between species matter more than barriers. That listening creates better solutions than commanding." King Vexthor sat in the royal viewing box, now old but wise. His crystalline body still impressed, though gentler colors dominated. He nodded approvingly at James's words. "The greatest strength," James declared, "lies not in power to destroy, but wisdom to unite." As he spoke, the chamber's main screen displayed the new Galactic University initiative. The first classes would begin next month, with students from 40 different species learning together on a neutral station. "These halls once held secrets and schemes," James continued. "Now they contain hope and cooperation. Young beings will study not war histories, but peace achievements." Zaraka stepped forward to join him at the podium. Together they represented what seemed impossible 5 years earlier: Therian royalty and human diplomat working as equals. "The ambassador taught us something vital," Zaraka announced. "That different doesn't mean inferior. That new ideas strengthen traditions rather than replace them." She placed a ceremonial crystal on James's shoulder, the highest Therian honor. "You came as punishment assignment. You remain as respected friend and mentor to an empire." King Vexthor's voice boomed from his position. "Indeed, the human who once seemed so insignificant now joins the select few awarded royal friendship status." The ceremony continued with species after species presenting honors. The Vorthak offered lifetime trading privileges. The Dreamers granted mind-link compatibility, a gift rarely given to non-telepaths. Frontier colonies presented citizenship certificates. 5 years of actual peace, Commissioner Torres remarked afterward. She had traveled from Earth especially for this moment. Better than 50 years of council-managed conflicts. "The hard part continues," James reminded everyone. "Maintaining unity requires constant work. Which is why the Diplomatic Innovation Committee needs this," Zaraka said, presenting blueprints for mobile mediation vessels. "Bringing diplomacy to distant, Conflicts B.